What is the government's policy on catchment area places being within walking distance of a local school?
Well, as you can imagine, I mean, central government doesn't try and micromanage these things from the great big screwdriver from London. I mean, there are general assumptions and guidelines about preferences for siblings, distance to school, but there's a high degree, as there should be, a high degree of discretion for local areas. And as you know, we in the city, we've got, just for a whole bunch of historical reasons, we've got some very eccentric catchment areas geographically, not least at secondary level, but that goes back to the history of the college being established, but the sixth forms being maintained as part of the city, and then the catchment areas like being great big spokes across the city. And that's not something driven by central government. So you know, it really is something that I think Rob, who's one of your councillors, I think you were going to take this up, or you have taken this up with the council.
Yeah, Sylvia has as well.
You should. I mean, there is I was funny enough at a different part of the patch. I was at Clegg School, junior school this afternoon, and they were also talking about this huge oversubscription they're getting at the moment, and they're taking on more children, many of whom come in on appeal in excess of the number that the school should be taking on. We've got a bit of a sort of bulge at the moment in terms of applications for primary schools in the southwest of the city. There is a sort of funding formula that means that the council last year, I think, got quite a considerable amount, about £14 million from central government to deal with this. But of course, you know, expanding school numbers and trying to shift people around the system, even if you've got the money, it's an incredibly difficult thing to do, because you can't build new school places overnight. So I'm giving you. I don't think it's not something that central government is going to sort of sort, nor should it do. There is a quite rightly a mechanism which means that more money is given from central government to deal with the fact that more children are there, and the more children you have as a school, the more money you get, because you're funded per pupil. But no one from central government's going to charge in with big boots and redraw the catchment areas in Sheffield, and I don't think you're welcome to say. Well, can I suggest you give it to Rob, because I don't want to sort of shuffle off responsibility, and I'm very happy to look into it myself and take it up with the council. No, I have lots and lots of parents who come to my weekly surgeries who, you know, it is heartbreaking. I mean, I've got 3 little children myself. It's heartbreaking, particularly if you feel your sons and daughters can't go to the same schools as each other, as sometimes happens.